Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Peshawar Model Degree College online lecture room. This is Miss Fatima Shakir, lecturer in English. My dear students, today our topic is I have a dream. This is Unit 2 in your course book and is titled as Hope and Aspiration. What is aspiration? Aspiration is actually a desire, a dream. Now, I have a dream, it's not a prose or a poetry, rather, it's something different. It's a speech. And the orator of this speech is Martin Luther King. Nothing happens unless first a dream, a common saying, and it's surely true. Everyone has different dreams in their life. The question is, do you dream? And are your dreams big or small? Surely, everyone amongst us has different dreams. But what about the dreams of those who are never forgotten? One of them, my dear students, amongst them is Martin Luther King. He was born on January 15, 1929, and was an American Christian minister and activist. Besides this, he was a famous spokesperson and leader. Dear students, he is the man who organized 1963 March on Washington. The image that you saw, it's just something that is depicting the March on Washington. Now he delivered his famous speech on the steps of Lincoln Memorial, and the name of the speech is I Have a Dream. 250,000 people joined him. Besides this, he received the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964. And he was assassinated in April 1968. Dear students, you must be wondering, what was that speech about? Let me tell you. This speech is not a simple one. Rather, it's really an important one. The reason for this is because the main key point that is discussed in the speech is racism. The speech begins with 50 years ago. And you might be knowing that 1 has 20 years. So obviously, 50 has 100 years. When the speech begins with 50 years ago, actually Martin Luther King is using an allusion over here. And what is that allusion? That allusion is to 50 years ago. Now actually it's a reference to past. You must have heard the word allusion in first year in the poem September, the first day of school. Okay, after 50 years ago, he uses a word, a great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand. Who is a great American? Do you think it's Martin Luther King himself? No. Dear students, it's someone else. And that someone else is really very important. That was Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln, he was an American statesman and a lawyer. A man who always believed in complete equality and justice, and who served as the 16th President of the United States. He was the one who was a white man, an American, but yet he believed to give rights to the Negroes, the black people, the African American, because he saw complete injustice in America. The Negroes were always kept as slaves. Dear students, one thing that Abraham hated was slavery. There is a story that one day he just went to a market and there he saw that the Negro men, women, children, everyone were bought and sold out there. And that was the moment that he felt a lot for these poor people, and so he decided to give them freedom. Dear students, being a president of America in 1862, Lincoln signed an Emancipation Proclamation. Don't you worry, the words are a bit difficult, but the meaning is really simple one. Emancipation is to set free, to release. And what is proclamation? Proclamation is an official announcement. So it was Lincoln who faced really, you could say, opposition, but still, he was a man who signed an Emancipation Proclamation in which it was completely declared that the Negroes are to be set free from today onwards. And besides this is an official announcement. Everyone needs to follow this. But what do you think? Was he followed? No, my dear students. Actually, none of the people considered Emancipation Proclamation, especially the government, as important. Now, Emancipation Proclamation means all persons held as slaves shall be free from now onwards. So, dear students, Martin Luther King, exactly after 100 years, he came to Lincoln Memorial. And so, standing on the steps of Lincoln Memorial, he reminds the people, he reminds the crowd over here, the 250,000 people, that while Emancipation Proclamation is passed, and when it was passed, so we were coming up with this feeling from now onwards, we would be granted freedom. Where is that freedom? And so he came here and is asking America to make real the promises of democracy. When the American government has really announced that they are going to give freedom to the Negroes, so where is that? Dear students, this is a memorable speech due to many reasons. What are the reasons? The reasons are due to literary and rhetorical devices. Literary and rhetorical device is something that adds style to your language, to your words. Okay, so beginning the speech, the official announcement, he declares over here the speech as that when the official announcement was made, so we all became hopeful and we thought that this is going to be the end to our captivity. And they thought that as we are feeling still, we are facing discrimination, we are facing segregation, so maybe now is the time that they should think about this, because they should give us a chance to enjoy our life according to our desires. So that's why he asks the people to help him in this protest. And besides this, he is using, as I said, he is using stylistic language over here. So he requests that we have come to America to cash a check. What sort of check? Check doesn't mean that they have come here for money. Rather, he is saying that we have come to Washington just because we want our rights. We want our freedom. Dear students, he asks again the government of America that while you people were writing the brilliant words of America in the Constitution, so a promise was made. And that promise that clearly declared that every white and black would be given their full rights. So he's saying, where are our full rights? Why aren't you following the American Constitution? Besides this, he blames America and he says that you people had completely denied of everything. Do you deny your own constitution? And still he says, we are not hopeless. We believe in the policy of slow change and we believe that one day we will be successful. Dear students, this is the main line that is used in this speech, and that is 1963 is not an end but a beginning. A beginning of what? He wants to give a message to the government and to the people, especially the white one, that we are not going to sit at home. Although 100 years has been passed, Abraham Lincoln has signed Emancipation Proclamation 100 years before, and you people had not accepted that, but still, we won't lose heart. We would be struggling for it. And he also declares to his people that we will be revolting against this government until and unless we are granted justice. Besides this, he was also a man who hated violence. And he was a man who desired to protest peacefully and with dignity and discipline. Dear students, here he wants to ask the America that they should be granted the right to vote. These Negroes, they were considered just, you could say, as animals. They weren't even allowed to right to vote. So he's saying over here that why aren't we allowed to vote? And besides this, he again asks a main question that why would the Negroes always be the victim of police brutality? And you know what is brutality? Brutality mean when you come up with really harsh treatment. So he's saying, why are we always the victim of police brutality? And so he says that we won't be satisfied until and unless we are granted justice. Okay, and besides this, there is a beautiful line. Look at the imagery that he's creating, and he says that we will not be satisfied until justice roll down like water. Okay, again, he asked the America that they would be struggling hard until and unless they are allowed to stay in the motels and the hotels. These are the famous lines. Different states of America are discussed here. And look at the, you could say, the hope that is here in these lines. What he says that go back to Mississippi, go back to Alabama, go back to South Carolina, go back to Georgia, go back to Louisiana, go back to the slums and ghettos of our northern cities. This situation can and will be changed. I like this line. Why? He is really having determination and strength. He is saying that I believe this situation can change if you people follow this, and this will be changed. You can also see over here, he wants to show it to the American government that we are really determined this time to get our rights from you people. Okay, the most important part that is used in this speech is anaphora. What is anaphora? It is a figurative language, and what it is describing over here. Anaphora means the repetition of a word or a phrase. So I had just selected the main line. You people are supposed to go and read anaphora in your book, and you would really enjoy where he says, let me repeat the exact lines for you people. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Really, really deep lines. That we will be granted everything, not because of our color, but because of our character. Okay, and look at the summary of the rest of these lines. He says that we believe that one day you will consider us the citizens of America. See, let me give you an example. Every one of us is really sensitive from within. While, for example, you are sitting in a classroom and you are not given the proper attention, so obviously you start feeling it. You start comparing yourself with the other one, whether that's anyone, that's a position holder, or that's a naughtiest girl or a boy or anyone, but you start to feel. So you can imagine that how would these people be feeling, as Luther King is mentioning that 100 years ago still we are not given those rights. And it is not like this, that just 100 years have passed and they're not given rights. Rather, before that, Abraham Lincoln, when he was struggling for these people, so it means it has taken centuries that these Negroes are not considered as humans. Then he says that I believe that one day we will witness brotherhood in every corner of America. Again he says, we believe in justice will end soon and we will be granted freedom and justice. We believe little black boys and black girls will be joining hands with little white boys and white girls. And the last line is, we believe that we will be returning to South with one faith. And what is that faith? That is to witness brotherhood. Repetition, repetition, and more repetition. Why? Just because when a writer wants to highlight the thing or lend its importance, or even a narrator when he is time and again repeating one thing in his speech, it is just because he wants to get the attention of the crowd and he wants to lay its importance. Okay. Dear students, besides this, when he ends his speech with these words, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia, from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee, from every hill and molehill of Mississippi, and from every mountain side, let freedom ring. Look at the dream. He does not have such sort of dream that only rights should be given to the Negroes living in Mississippi or Georgia. No, he believes that whether a Negro lives in a city or he lives in a village, everyone should be given rights. And so he has this dream that we would be granted freedom. Okay, his words, "Let freedom ring," were a call for continued action as well as an optimistic ringing of a bell, suggesting that in part we had reached a place where goals were in reach and his dream could actually come true. Really, he is too optimistic here. He's saying that we had just reached the end. It's not like that we are on the first step. Rather, we had reached the end, and this is the time that we could gain everything we wish for and we struggle for. And these are the very last lines of his speech where he says, "Thank God Almighty, we are free at last." Now see, this note was a promise that all men would be guaranteed the rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Whether that is a simple man, that is a Jew, that is a Gentile, that is a Protestant and a Catholic, whoever that is, he believes one day we will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, "Free at last." Dear students, this was a speech, a presentation that surely changed the destiny of a nation. Okay, so as I mentioned before that a writer or an orator, he uses sometimes rhetorical devices, and this speech, it's really an important one because in this 17-minute speech, he was just focusing on rhetorical devices. So there are different rhetorical devices for you. Allusion is surely mentioned before. Coming to the extended metaphor. Extended metaphor is something that extends through several lines. So look at the lines over here. That's really adding a beauty to Martin Luther King's words. The examples are there for you. You should go and read them. And you should also try to read the speech. And besides this, try to find out all the figurative devices over here. Personification, you already know. What is personification? The attribution of a personal nature or human characteristic to something non-human. So in this speech, he is considering America as a person, as a human. So that's why he says that it has failed in providing equal rights to its masses. Now it is referring to whom? To America. Metaphor. What is metaphor? Here, when you are going to represent something in a symbolic term, you could say, he uses season as metaphor. Luther King, he beautifies again this paragraph and he uses the word sweltering summer. What is sweltering? Very hot. How is your situation nowadays? You get angry and you are just annoyed with everything. Even you just feel like you are depressed every time, and it's just because of the summer season. So he's saying that we Negroes are just in this situation right now. But here he says, if granted freedom, if we are granted freedom, this summer can change into autumn as well. Okay, synecdoche. What is synecdoche? When a part is represented as a whole, that's known as synecdoche. So synecdoche over here, he is referring as people as bodies or flesh. How? There is an example, as I mentioned before, that we can never be satisfied as long as our body is heavy with fatigue of travel, can't gain lodging in the motels and hotels. If you remember, I just mentioned this term over there as well. And the next is parallelism. Parallelism means the same grammatical structure. Look at these lines again when I mentioned before as well. Go back to Mississippi and so on. Dear students, now you are supposed to watch the actual video on YouTube that's related to I Have a Dream. And you are having an assignment, and what is that? Make a table of rhetorical devices along with your examples. Besides this, write their definition and examples as well. And the most important part of the speech, as I mentioned before, is anaphora. So you should go and you should learn this paragraph just because it's really very important from both point of view. I hope you understood the lecture very well. Thank you so much.